The question is simple. Are Nigerian radiographers really qualified or competent? From you are a Nigerian, you are a radiographer. Does Nigeria produce competent radiographers?
Hello everyone. How are you today? Here's a question for you. Can you remember your first X-ray? I remember two details of my first X-ray. The first was wondering, what kind of witchcraft is this? The second was the absolute dread that somehow the X-ray itself would have an impact on my organs. But recently I've been introduced to radiography as a discipline, and this is the reason I have the guest on the show today. He lives and breathes radiation, and today we're going to be discussing the myths surrounding radiography and how challenging it is to study it as a discipline in Nigeria. Stay tuned. I am Kay, and this is the K-Touch.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast, The K-Touch. Today I have the distinguished Ralph on my podcast today. Now, Ralph I have known for about 4 years now, 4 to 5 years now, and he has a very distinct interest, which is what I hope you would come to realize at the end of this conversation. Ralph is a radiographer, and my confession is, prior to meeting Ralph, I didn't even know such a thing existed as a discipline. So I'm expecting Ralph to shed some light, but I'm also going to be asking Ralph a few questions about himself. So welcome, Ralph. Thank you for coming on my podcast today.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so let me start with the questions. Ralph, who is a radiographer?
All right. Simple way, I'll probably say a layman way to explain who a radiographer is. A radiographer is a professional that is qualified in taking images of the body parts using different diagnostic imaging modalities.
Yeah. Which
in the management and treatment of patients.
Okay. So he takes images of different parts of the body.
Body parts, yeah, using different imaging modalities.
Now you're using the word modalities. I'm going to go into those modalities very well.
Well, there are quite a few of them. It's not just a single one. The basic one that majority of the people are probably familiar with is to say X-ray, X-ray, X-ray. But there are quite a few of them that are more.
Yes. Okay, good. We'll come into details of those ones. So that's a very simple definition. But I'm wondering, why is it that, and I'm not saying it's because of a lack of interest, why is it that most people who think about X-rays, like you've mentioned, the first thing they come and they describe it as is radiology? Where do you think the confusion is coming from with radiography and radiology, and is there any similarity between it?
Well, there is, because a radiographer works in the radiology department. So radiology is the department that encompasses that every other imaging modalities that I've mentioned. All comes the radiology department. Yeah. Then we now have a radiologist who does the reporting of the images that the radiographer takes. So it's like three.
Interesting.
You have radiographer, you have radiology, and you have a radiologist. So radiologists do the reporting of images taken by a radiographer in a radiology department.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's thanks for breaking that one up.
Yeah.
My question to you now is, how does one get into, so this is a discipline you've been doing for how long? How long now have you been a radiographer for?
13 years.
Wow. About a decade.
Yeah, 13 years. I've been qualified since.
Oh, no, it's even, I thought you said 10 years. 13. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, just to clarify, have you been qualified for 13, or does 13 include the education towards it?
No, minus the education. I've been qualified since 2011. Since August 2011. Yeah.
Okay, all right. We're getting to it now. Okay, fine. How does one become a radiographer? So can you please just take me through the process? How did you start with radiography? The first question is, did it choose you or did you choose it?
Okay, they chooses me, or probably chose me. That's what I've always had interest in IT growing up, and I did quite a few jam there, and it didn't jam me, but unfortunately, the university was quite competitive, and it was a lot of either you know someone that knows someone that could help you there for computer science or computer engineering based courses. So it was in the place of just searching for something, and that was when I was offered radiography.
But what university was that?
It was University of Lagos.
Ooh, wow. Okay, fine. Then tell me about the process. So is it like any other normal course? What exactly is expected to get into radiography as a course?
It is. The days when I started, there are just probably 5 universities in the whole of Nigeria doing radiography as a degree.
Okay.
It would be a diploma course that was done in Yaba in Lagos. But then it was a diploma certificate program and not really a degree. Then it ended up being adopted as a degree in Lagos now. But we have 4 other universities aside from the University of Lagos that was offering radiography then. So it was quite competitive trying to get the admission. The cut-off mark was not. It was within the same class of medicine, dentistry, people doing pharmacy, physiotherapists, and quite very competitive then, because majority, it was a very new course, relatively new in Nigeria, and even really radiography is still quite doesn't have that level of awareness that you will hear when people talk about I study medicine, I'm a dentist, or I study pharmacy, a physiotherapist. Or
that's why I never heard of it before. But it's a very important it's very, very important discipline, which shocks me.
Yeah, however, then it's quite easy. I'm sure one in a lifetime, probably there's an individual that has had a chest x-ray as simple as a chest x-ray is.
Yes.
But no one really understands that the chest x-ray are taken by a radiographer. And it is a profession, so getting into the university was quite a bit competitive, doing all the necessary work you need to do, get your admission. It's a 5-year course in Nigeria, and in the United Kingdom is a 3-year course for the degree, but in Nigeria, yes, course. So the first year you do like the basic kind of science-based courses, which you do with every other science related students in the university. And in the second year, you get into the medical school, and you do your streamlined courses which is relative to radiography itself. So it's a 5 years. First year in the University of Lagos, the main campus, Takoka. Then from the second year to 500 level, we have to move into LUT. That's the Lagos University Teaching Hospital.
Yeah.
So that was it, and wasn't really. Since it wasn't a course that majority of us that found ourselves in it wasn't really our first choice of course to do. So there was a lot of low morals, no motivation, no drive. You don't even have someone that could mentor you to say, okay, I used to be. So we happen to be the second. My set happened to be the second set of radiography students in University of Lagos.
It's a lie.
Yeah. So it's still relatively.
It was fresh back then. Yeah.
Fresh. In fact, at some point when I was in 300 level, they said the federal government refused to accredit the course in University of Lagos, that they have to move us down to the east. That's in, I think, Enugu, where they've started the course a bit longer. And it was quite tense then. I do say to my parent that I have said that I don't want to do this course. Why have you just pushed me into doing this radiography? Because I would just prefer to just stay home, just learning my IT from kiosk to kiosk as I was doing there for the admission. So, but aside that, so when I got into 300 level, that I saw I had more understanding of what the course is all about, and it became interesting. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't chase my GP anymore then. So at that point, what I was just after was just graduate with your very good grades.
Yeah.
But at some point, I felt that if I'd put in the effort I put in from 300 level from my first year, I could probably have said I should be able to finish with a distinction. But it was just because there was no motivation, nobody to push you and say you are doing a very good course. But at the first hearing of, we can offer you radiography to me, the first thing that came to mind is, will I be repairing radio? Because all through my university day, my secondary school days also, I didn't know there is a course called radiography.
Okay, so I don't need to feel bad about it. I've not heard of it. Yeah.
I didn't. So it was just like, well, now this is my reality. I have to make it work.
Yeah.
And I developed in the keen interest, paid more attention to it, feeling the relevance myself in healthcare, and then it came to the point where I coined a line that motivates me to say radiography is the high of medicine. Like, doctors don't see anything without a radiographer.
Yeah.
Doctors probably don't. A surgeon won't go into surgery without having images to help in planning. To different level of treatment, radiotherapy, cancer treatment also won't probably get into that stage of being efficient if they don't have a radiotherapist or undergoing through a radiotherapy for them to have a proper planning. So at that point, then I started developing the interest. I started spreading it, being bold to say to people out there that I'm a radiographer. But at the initial stage, it was very difficult because people would ask you a question when say, "What are you studying?" You say radiography. They're like, "What is radiography?"
Yeah.
So at that point myself, I don't even have an idea of what I will be doing, where I will be working. The only thing is they take X-rays. So that's that background information before I got enrolled into the course. You take X-rays. So that was how I find myself.
Let me ask you though. I'm sorry. That's the thing about interviews. You say something and then I have to follow it a bit further. Yeah. You know, I found it very frustrating in Nigeria because I also studied in Nigerian university. I studied in the University of Port Harcourt, and there will be some courses that you will hear that students will go into for, and then later on, after the student has reached year one, finished year one or year two, that's when you start hearing the course has not been accredited. And then, what is a student supposed to do under such a situation? I don't know.
Well, really is it became very threatening for a lot of us, and at some point we just start making jest of ourselves and say, "Guy, you've just been wasting your time in this university." Wow. Form. So that was the only thing we could use to console ourselves. It wasn't very interesting. We had even lecturers telling us that unfortunately they might probably have to stop the course as a degree, or they have to tell us to go and join a university in the East, which you have to buy again. So it became a very threatening situation.
So but again, how did you? Because I know you as a very motivated, but viewers, I'm not trying to wash Raphael, which is the term Nigerians use when you're overpraising someone. I'm just saying it the fact. Raphael is driven. How did you navigate that situation? Now I'm talking personally because everybody else would have reacted one way or the other. But look at you now. How did you navigate that?
As I said, it was more of a self-motivation for me, and also trying to make findings from. I've got older ones that are in the university that probably have an idea of the university system, and they make me understand that yes, it's very easy for the government to come at a time to say that the course is not accredited yet. The only thing is the management of the course in the university just needs to put in efforts and submit their case and make it very clear the relevance of the course, what they have in place, and quite easy. So I made that findings. My siblings also helping. The internet also helped, and you just make fun. What are the what could happen in the case where you have a course that is not accredited, and is there any that's before we graduate? So the summary of it is there was now a very cogent information from the school management that the course will be accredited before we get to the final year,
nice.
which is at our 400 level, and we just keep pushing in and say, wow.
So at what point, now I want to know, because you're a very proud person, and I mean it in a good way, but at what point did you now start beating your chest to say, I am a radiographer? That's at what point did you now think that, look, when we are discussing with people, my own degree must come out?
Well, I would say at my 400 level, the confidence grew.
Okay.
Confidence grew very well.
Wow.
Again, as I said initially, that my first choice of course in life was to be a computer engineer. I used to say when I was in the secondary school that even if it's the smallest chip in a calculator, I want to also invent. So I had back of my mind, even while I was in my second year in the university doing radiography, I was still doing some IT, telecommunication courses, just finding every means to still focus on the IT side of things. But at 400 level, I think it's synced. And
okay, let me ask another question then. Still, we're going to get into some other aspects, but when the way I will put this is I just need a confirmation from you. The question is simple: are Nigerian radiographers really qualified or competent? From you are a Nigerian, you are a radiographer. Does Nigeria produce competent radiographers?
Yes, I will, because I'm a product of that same system, and competency is very relative when it comes to experience.
Correct. Yeah.
Very relative when it comes to experience. From experience and with the people I've worked with over time, which basically I've worked also in Nigerian system before finding myself now, and I will say there are a lot of good hands. And majority of the Nigerian radiographers in the Western world, they don't struggle to fit into the system.
Yeah.
They don't fit into the system. I think I do appreciate not even just about radiography, the level of education in Nigeria, because I did a bit of a study also in the UK here, and I could say, I'm not trying to say compared, but I will say the stuff I got from Nigerian education system is quality. It might not look like it, but until you test both sides, then I can say it was more like a stroll for me to complete a master's in the UK. If I would, it wasn't something. There was no challenge. Yeah, there wasn't. There was an effort, but it wasn't as I put in an effort. If I know that my first degree in Nigeria, if I have to do my master's in Nigeria, I don't think I would be a bit lax as I am.
It's interesting because the same thing applies. I'm a graduate of microbiology, and I would literally say the same thing. Coming over to the United Kingdom to study a master's degree for me wasn't I wouldn't say it was the easiest thing, but I didn't struggle. Communication wasn't a problem. I didn't come here and everything was strange to me. No, obviously there are things you had to learn, but it didn't matter if I was Nigerian. Everybody had something to learn. Even the fellow British people who I was in the same class with the same modules, we always went through the same process of learning what we were learning. So I agree with you completely. But the reason why I asked that thing about competence is, what do you think the challenge? Still back to your university days, can you identify challenges associated with studying radiography in Nigeria? For instance, I'll tell you, one of the major challenges I encountered with microbiology was the practical classes. I felt that because of the university, the way the universities are packed, and this is not the university's fault, sometimes they have no choice than to take the number of students they take into, but you would find a lot of students in the same class, jam-packed, learning about practicals, and that to me was distracting. The classes would be hot, we couldn't hear the lecturer sometimes, the materials we even have to handle were not when either not suitable or not sufficient for everybody to work. We'll have large groups of people working with small materials. But I don't know how your experience was with radiography and the challenges associated with that. All
right, so with radiography, basically for me, I didn't have that same a bit of similar experience, but it wasn't in the way I want to say that you probably must have experienced that. So what do I mean by this? Because the course was relatively very new. We are very few in numbers in my class. There are very few. In fact, the department, as I said, so I only have a year senior. So when I was in 100 level, the people ahead of me were in 200. There was no 400 level, no 500 level in the whole department. So you probably know yourself by name. You know even the ones ahead of you. So it's like when these results, your semester result, you don't need to hide anything. Everyone knows.
Everyone. Yeah.
Because we are not that much. So I didn't really have that stressful experience in terms of the population having a heated environment and things like that. But one of the major challenge, I will say, also was in that practical side of things, because from 300 level of my course, we have to do clinical placements, which we need into the hospitals, or we need to go into neighboring diagnostic centers within Lagos to do our clinical placements. So that was not funded by the trust. That was not funded by.
Your language is changing.
So that was not funded by the university. So you need to find yourself as a student. Then they could say where you've been posted to is Ikorodu General Hospital from Mushin. How do you navigate? It becomes your responsibility. Some students were posted to Lekki. So all through my own posting from 300 level till final, I had LASUT, which was the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, not too far from the university itself. And the last posting was inside the University of Lagos Teaching Hospital itself. Okay. So I didn't travel much, but I have colleagues that traveled a bit of a distance and funded by themselves. So it's like you calling your parents and say, I need this every.
Yeah.
So it looks more like it's unnecessary stress on individual, on families.
Yeah.
Then paying your tuition fee, giving you your own pocket money, paying probably for accommodation, buying books. You have to also start thinking of, you're going for a placement, they need to make available resources for you to transport yourself. So that was a major challenge. Another challenge was inadequate facilities, even in the so-called centers we've been posted to. Compared to where I am now, and I see students coming, everything is available. Majority of students in my class never had a reason to work on a CT scanner or MRI scanner all through the university. They teach you some radiation physics and you can't see them in real time. Do you get? So you can't really come back to say, okay, this is how images are being formed. They will tell you those things. Images are formed this way and that. They tell you about some algorithm that happen for you not to re-expose patients with reconstructions and things like that. However, because you can't see them, they look very abstract. So you have to just study to pass sometimes. What to do is let me just read for these things and so that's also a part of the things. Well, it was a blessing in disguise because those things just make you grounded theoretically. You get, because you spend time just learning the theory. The practical aspect is lacking, but again, you can always come back again, which majority of the Nigerian radiographers that find themselves outside the country are not badly theoretically, and they could match what they understand. And they are there flying. People ask them questions. Oh, how do you know this? How do you know that? Just an example.
Because they got a theoretical base for it.
That's it, because the knowledge base is there. Is there. So I know when I used to work in one of the hospital, not too far from where I work, I just on one of the breaks during the weekend, there was nothing serious, so I picked a pen. I was just drawing the circle of Willis on the board.
Wait, what were you drawing? I don't understand.
The circle of Willis, so it's like the circulatory system.
Okay, please, you have to help me understand.
Yeah, it was the circulatory system for the brain. And some of my colleagues that are not Nigerians are like, how do you still remember those stuffs? Because I have to. When I was in the university, you have to be able to draw those things. Do you get? So it sticks. It helps later on, but again, does it not probably put us in the place of not being exposed to the practicals when we should? That's the limitation there. But again, I saw that in as a blessing in disguise, because it's worked for me the theoretical knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm breaking away totally from radiography. We're coming back to it, but this is
That's
now about Ralph. So
That's
a few questions now, Ralph.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming.
Mm-hmm.
How is Christmas now for you compared to when Christmas was when you were younger? I want a sharp contrast now. Let's go back 15, 20 years ago. Is there anything different?
There was.
Okay.
I would say Christmas was more fun when I was younger, 10 years ago, than what it is now.
Okay.
Again, the factor to that was because of the environment I find myself currently.
Yeah.
If I feel that if I still probably take myself into my natural habitat, which is my home country, I think I'll enjoy Christmas the same way I used to enjoy it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The factor of the environments where I am now, you sometimes even don't see your neighbor a week, a month. How do you say to people that I'm coming to come and have lunch in your house?
Oh, that's really weird. Yeah, I know.
You can't be on the street and say, okay, let me just have the knockouts. It sounds weird here.
The fireworks are not there at all.
You get so. I just think I would say I enjoy it more younger than what it is now.
Okay.
And main factor was the environment.
Yeah. Have you ever, a few of our viewers might cringe at this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Have you ever killed a chicken before?
I've not. I've never.
Hey!
Well, I've seen it where it's been killed. I've never.
Well, I have the experience, so I can give you a few tutorials. Maybe when next we find ourselves in this situation, there's a way in which it is done. That's okay. Here's another question: can you fry chin chin?
Because I've not done it before. So because I have not done it before, but I'm in the situation to say, give me flour, give me butter, give me.
You will make it work.
I'll make one. Yeah, because I know all that is needed to fry one.
Yeah.
You get so, but I've not had any reason to say go and fry me chin chin. Do you get? But I will say I can fry chin chin.
Okay. One more question on Father on Christmas. Then I'll ask you another question about you personally. Have you ever collected a gift from Father Christmas before?
I have. I did that a lot in primary school.
Okay, can you remember one gift you got from Father Christmas?
A whistle. There's this whistle they used to give.
I got the whistle as well. He wasn't giving me anything concrete. He'll give me a whistle. Sometimes it's a balloon, but all the same with that.
That's it. But they are fun. You got the whistle and the balloon. Like,
yes.
They've paid probably a very huge amount of money to get them because they've got value. Those things make you happy then.
Yes, they do. Okay, let me ask you another thing about you. We'll still come to the radiograph. Ralph, one thing I know about you, and this is something I found very interesting, is the passion with which you carry football.
Yeah.
So you're really into the Premiership, and you're also really into gaming with football.
Yeah.
Even to the extent that the way I see it, even when you face a formidable opponent, you can talk yourself literally out of any situation. What is that about? Help me understand this your connection to FIFA and football.
Well, it's just passion, and growing up also as a young boy, I'm born into a family of 5. Just how to. We're all boys. So we're all boys, and I'm number 4. So we play football, like from street to street. We play football. We played it. I can say I played a lot of street football from different streets. You play mini tournaments where they use the tin of a milk and a bulb as the trophy. They wrap that foil and make that as the trophy that you play a month of a tournament for, just to get just that tin of milk and the bulb wrapped in a foil. So I did that. So I think also in the university I missed a test because I needed to watch a football. So I thought the time of the test was moved. Oh, it wasn't. So I missed the test because of football. And also when I was in secondary school, I got punished. I had to jump the fence into my classroom because I missed. I think the match was Nigeria-Sweden.
Oh my goodness!
So it was the Korea-Japan match. It was played very early in the morning, and I had to complete that match before coming into school. So I sent my junior brother to go with my school bag, and I jumped the fence. So people will just feel I've been in the school premises. But for me, when I jumped into the fence, I landed in front of the director of the school. So.
Oh boy. Hey, so it's not only you. Me self, I have a confession. I used to jump fence too, and even my brothers, I'm sure they jumped fence. My own, there was one time I was late for school, and you know how Nigerian schools can be back then. I don't know if they are that way now. I jumped the fence. The one of the teachers, senior teachers, caught me. I was just looking at me. She said, "As you jump back."
Well, that was the same thing that happened to me. I had to jump back and use the gates. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How is your art going? I'm going to ask you for art at the end.
I've drawn the simplest thing that could come to mind.
That's fine.
And I'm done.
That's fine. What you need to understand is this young man, I'm a businessman these days. So your art, once your art is finished, I'm uploading your art to my website. I'm going to add a price to it. When someone buys the art, when you become famous, we'll split it 50-50.
Yeah.
And the least that my art right now is going for on my website is £1 million. So I'm putting prices on them. So please, once you are done, please scan the image for me. Simply send to me. Thank you very much. God bless you as you obey. Okay, let me ask you a few more questions. And this is where I want to know about your first. Can you remember your first official image as a radiographer?
Well, a majority of us, which myself inclusive, is always a chest X-ray because it becomes the preliminary of everything imaging, and the first thing everyone wants to, because of the radiation aspect of our job, they don't probably put you before any serious form of imaging.
Yeah.
It's the simplest form of image any radiographer could take.
Okay, yeah, it was a chest.
Chest X-ray. Yeah.
That's what brings me to my next question. Because of this same radiographer or radiography thing, my first image was a chest image, and this was back then in Nigeria. I won't lie to you because my next set of questions comes to the myths of radiography generally. So X-ray, CT scans, MRIs.
Yeah.
When I was taking the X-ray image, I felt like my heart was going to blow up because I didn't understand what was going on, and I felt that I'm going to be exposed with all these nasty radio waves or X-rays and how that would impact me. And it's got me thinking, having you here about some of the myths that people have with regards to radiography and having all these images taken. So I'm hoping that you can help us dispel or at least expose us to a few of those myths. So one of the myths is that scans, whether X-ray scans, CT scans, they cause sterility. How true is that?
That's not totally true.
Okay.
Because I would say that radiation generally, we've got different types of ionizing radiation, and X one of it. And because of the wavelength of X-rays alone cannot on its own cause sterility.
Okay.
There is a risk of consistent exposure.
Okay.
Damaging the cells and damaging tissues. But the non-frequent exposure to probably the medical aspect of our job. So when the medical aspect is people needing X-ray, CT scan, they can't from that exposure have. They cannot. But let's say, for instance, you bombarded a tissue consistently over a longer period of time. Yes, you kill the cells around those parts. You definitely do that. But again, there is a threshold, there is a permissible level of that is expected over a period of time. And if I probably just also want to make very clear, there is background radiation that we all get. So the same.
That's just the sun that we expose ourselves to every day.
And so the same level of radiation, let me say the same dose of radiation you get from flying is equivalent to the same radiation you get if you do a chest X-ray.
Wow. Okay. That's one. What about the fear that it causes cancer?
Yes, long-term effects of it causes cancer.
Okay, so it's all about frequency and level of radiation.
Yes, that's why there are diagnostic level that is permissible to different body parts and a period of time.
Okay, because the same thing can be said about. I'm a microbiologist, and we have a very unique way of making. I mean, the first antibiotic made was penicillin, and it's very easy for people to be taking drugs. But the truth is, when it comes to some of these drugs, lasting effects of these drugs over constant use is damaging to tissues as well. So I don't see it any different from X-ray scans or CT scans and just long-lasting effects from those.
That's it. So it's the long-lasting effects of it that causes cancer.
Okay. Yeah. But can it cause, or can it result in? Can it make us radioactive? So there's this particular character. I don't know if you're into comics, but there's this character called the Incredible Hulk. And Incredible Hulk is green in color. He was exposed to radiation. So is there any chance that maybe if I do it too much now, it'll turn green?
No, you can't. So, but when you talk about being radioactive, so because there are radioisotopes that we are part of, so that's another imaging modalities, which is in radio, a PET CT scan. Okay. That's PET is an acronym for positron emission tomography. It's a form of a CT scan, but we use isotopes rather than just using the isotopes are forms of injection, but they are radioactive substance. As at the time the injection is injected on a patient, the patient becomes radioactive. But again, because of the decaying period, so that's why over a period of time when they have the radioisotopes injection, because they have their half-life within that period, if the patient is probably getting close to someone else, yes, they are radioactive at that period. Okay. But as it's exceeded that half-life, it decays and it has no effect anymore.
That's interesting. I like. Well, I'm used to some of the terms you're mentioning, so it's fine. And thanks for rekindling some of those interests. But you've said PET CT scan, and I've heard that term used so often in medical dramas and all of that. Oh, give them a PET CT. Do you know that? It's good to be exposed. I was thinking that PET CT scan meant a smaller version of a CT scan. You know, when you say something is a PET, so I was like, okay, maybe.
No. So it's positron emission. So
wow,
the P.
Okay.
So that's
things every day.
Yeah, the emission from the isotopes is what is actually. So it is more like you just giving a dye injection.
Yeah.
To it's a particular vessels or to highlight a cell or a tissue. So that's what the PET CT scan does. It's basically a form of therapeutic means for cancer. So you want to
wait, let me interrupt you. Now I just remember one thing I was going to ask you before I ask you any, because I've got 2 or 3 more questions left. You mentioned in passing when I was trying to get you into this interview that you live and breathe radiation. My brother, where does that come from? Am I to be afraid?
No, you don't have to be. So just to probably tell you that I enjoy what I do, and I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Really good. Because I'm sure I actually believe that there are some, and that's one of the reasons I have you on this channel. When I thought of how unique the course is that you have as your discipline and how experienced you are, I'm actually hopeful that Nigerians would find, radiography, and through your experience and how you've been interviewed here, they would actually be inspired. Because a lot of people go into school and they pick these courses, and like you and me, when they started the course, they had no idea what it was, and the result is that they treat it like trash. But they can't really see that it's what would help them in future if they can invest in it. Obviously, not everybody has the same interest in courses, but you'll be surprised how just a little interest might distinguish you in the future. So okay, let me ask you a few more, just a few more. What don't people know about radiographers? So do you know some things uniquely that we don't know about people like you?
All right, that would probably take me back into what I've drawn and what I've said before. Radiographers are the eyes through which doctors see. Yeah, radiographers are the eyes through which doctors see. So you hardly now, with a lot of advancements in the medical world, you hardly go through a doctor without a form of diagnostic imaging. It might probably not be at the initial stage, but before the completion of whatsoever it is that the case would be, at some point, they will probably tell you, well, can you have a quick chest x-ray there? Can you just probably check what's going on in your brain over a lifetime before every individual gets till death? One way or the other, there is no way anyone would escape it. You will have one form of medical imaging or the other. A very simple part of it, ultrasound. When pregnant women go into the hospital to check the viability of their baby, this is radiography. It's an aspect of radiography. So they call them. So that's another form of imaging, but that does not use ionizing radiation. So radiographers are the ones that scans.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you. Sorry, you were going to say something else. No, please finish your words.
At that point, it becomes very important for any individual to know that we are not just out there to take images, but we are the eyes through which the doctor sees.
That's a good one. Thank you for that. Actually, that's a very good one. It seems like a simple statement, but before speaking with you, I actually did some research because sometimes curiosity. I wanted to find out what this science of radiography is, and there was an article that a man wrote, I think in 2008, where he was actually stating the importance of radiographers and how in the past radiologists were the ones that were getting all the attention and radiographers were in the background. Even though they had this important role, nobody was considering them. But it's become very obvious now how important radiographers are. And so he was just writing that to emphasize the importance of radiographers. So yeah, I completely agree with you. They are eyes. Okay, let me ask you two more questions now, then we can reveal our art. The first question I normally ask people is, what would be your note to your younger self? So if you had something to tell yourself from when you were back in school, what would it be? If you had the opportunity to mentor or to just encourage yourself, what would you tell yourself?
You can always achieve what you want to achieve. So which I still drive with that. I still run with that every time I'm alone. Sometimes sometimes I speak to myself a lot anyway, and I just say to myself. So my middle name is so that's my Nigerian name. My It's my local name, which if I want to speak to myself, I just say to myself, Abiodun. Abiodun is like someone that is giving birth to within the festive period. I was born on the 1st of January, so I will just say to myself, Abiodun, you can do this. Yeah, so I say that a lot. It's been a drive to say that I can achieve whatever I want to achieve, as long as I think about it, bring it into my reality, and I get it done.
Wow. Okay. And then by extension, just so you know, I remember now it's 1st of January. So after Christmas, we know where we're pouring our interests to. So thank you for confessing that online. But as an extension, I just want your final words to everyone, because we've come to the end of this interview. Before we show our art, do you have anything you would like to share with people generally?
Yeah, well, about the profession, I would just say that above the sky is the limit of radiography. There are a lot of researches. It's gone beyond just even taking images now. There are reporting radiographers that are not just taking images, but they are making reports of the images. They are researchers. Radiography is also not just used in the clinical side of the things. And if you go to your airport and you are being scanned, you are being scanned by a radiographer.
Yeah.
Or mechanism behind scanning yourself, someone interpreting the images is the radiography. So what I would just
see how you've extended it, because I've not even thought in that direction. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So what I would just say is for young ones that is aspiring and still looking forward to making a choice as to the discipline or career path, radiography, I say, I have got two boys and a little girl. I say, produce another radiographer. Why not?
Yeah.
You'll feel very fulfilled having another one in the family. Yeah, I enjoy, and my wife is a radiographer also. So.
Oh wow! This is it. You are beginning to reveal wonderful things about. Oh no, that's amazing, Ralph. All I want to say, honestly speaking, just a way of ending this thing, I think you are an admirable person. I don't take that lightly. I don't joke with people I come across, because of my kind of person. I don't just play or associate with just anyone. Somehow, everyone I know has a profound effect on me one way or the other, and you are just one of such people. You are. There's a saying I used to say. I used to be reminded of back then when I was younger. You are highly recommended. So I would recommend people knowing you anyway, hands down, because I feel you are an inspiration. So thank you so much for being on this podcast. But that's not the escape.
Thanks.
I need you to now please show us what you have made in this conversation we've had. Now, yes. Oh, what is that? Oh my God.
That is, I've drawn a pen, but I've used the longest bone in the body to draw it. So and I've written on the X-ray, the eye of medicine.
Okay, please scan that. I want that scan, please, or take a picture. That must come to me. That's my property. Please, thank you very much. Oh, that is really amazing. So, and you'll be telling me you can't draw. Oh, that's really amazing. So now it's time for me to show you what I've drawn. So, whilst you were drawing that, what I was drawing was. So instead, I have the chest. So that is the rib cage, and this is an X-ray image of a rib cage. And this is exactly what I'm going to be thinking of now every time that I see you. You are someone who takes those kind of images, and that was the first image that I took of myself, of somebody took of me. So yeah, it's amazing, Ralph. I want to know, what do you think that, because we started this whole conversation with Nigeria and radiography, and from your own knowledge of things that are going on now in the country, how do you see the country developing in that particular field? Especially, do you think we need more resources into it? Do you think the graduates are encouraged as it is, that there's a structure that can support them? or is it going to be one of those things where everybody is just going to be going abroad?
Well, at the moment is a question that beats me every time also.
Yeah.
Also, maybe as just a point of information, I've always loved to lecture, and I used to say to myself that I will get back into the same country where I studied from.
Yeah.
To lecture. Yeah. So when I did, I wanted to go back into Nigeria to lecture at the University of Lagos. Contacted quite a few of my lecturers there, but the opportunities was not just there, and I just felt, why not stay back here and make a living for yourself. So the education in Nigeria, it's not just radiography alone. I think education system in Nigeria is
in need of improvement.
Going down the drain, and is unfortunate. We can only keep wishing that things change. Education in Nigeria now is more like survival of the fittest. You just get in there, do what you need to do, and you find a way out of the country, because you're not even guaranteed that when you qualify, there's something
they're waiting for you to do. Wow.
Thousands of Uber drivers in Nigeria that are. So we can only keep wishing that things get better.
Well, hopefully when you and I have the opportunity, we'll be part of that way of changing things back then in the country. But all the same, Ralph, all I can say is thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. This interview has been an eye-opener. I've come in here not knowing about radiography and left here feeling like I'm a radiographer myself. Well, obviously, I won't try and take your job, but you made me really enlightened. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure, really.
Yeah. What I'll tell you is just stay tuned, because I might have you here again for other. There are other interests that you have. I would like to have you here on the podcast for. But until then, thank you again. Please let's encourage Ralph. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Take care now. Take care. Right. Bye.